Everyone thinks that teens in our world today use alcohol, tobacco, or drugs to cope with everyday struggles. You may think they do,
but they don't. Welcome to the But They Don't podcast, a podcast for teens by teens. Join us as we cover substance use prevention, mental health, community conversations, and more.
Welcome back to another episode of But They Don't. I'm Toni Grace.
And I'm Audrey.
Today we are talking about one of the most dangerous drugs currently on the streets in America, xylazine, or tranq.
You may also hear it called tranq dope, zombie drug, or sleep cut. Xylazine is most frequently used in combination with substances such as heroin, fentanyl, and cocaine. All of these drugs, as well as xylazine, are incredibly addictive and can lead to a substance use disorder.
Xylazine, or tranq, is a non-opioid medication that is being added to street drugs and is often found as a combination of xylazine and fentanyl, making it extremely dangerous. Tranq came about in 1962 when Bayer Healthcare Pharmaceuticals designed it to be used as a central nervous system depressant. It was initially intended to be used by veterinarians who use it to sedate, relieve pain, or as a muscle relaxant for animals such as dogs, cats, and horses. It has not been approved for use in humans.
Xylazine has not been approved by the FDA for use in humans. Therefore, when a human consumes it, there can be deadly effects. Tranq is a central nervous system depressant that slows brain activity and can cause drowsiness, amnesia, slow breathing, slow heart rate, and lower blood pressure to dangerously low levels. Some users take opioids in combination with xylazine or other central nervous system depressants like alcohol or benzos. These can also be life-threatening combinations. Xylazine reportedly makes the drug high last longer. It is cheaper and easier to make than fentanyl and the other drugs it is mixed with. Someone may not even know that xylazine has been put into the drugs they're using. Xylazine drops heart rate, breathing, and blood pressure to dangerously low levels. When mixed with fentanyl or benzos or used with alcohol, it increases the risk of death by overdose.
Long-term users can get skin ulcers and abscesses, infection of the skin, and sepsis. In recent news, the DEA has reported a widespread threat of fentanyl mixed with xylazine in street drugs. Combining xylazine with fentanyl puts drug users at a higher risk of suffering from a fatal overdose. Xylazine is not an opioid, meaning naloxone or Narcan does not reverse its effects. Narcan is used in a case of an opioid overdose, so not being able to use it with xylazine is incredibly dangerous. People who are injecting drug mixtures that contain xylazine can also develop incredibly severe wounds such as necrosis, which is the rotting of human tissue. This can often lead to amputation.
As of July 2023, xylazine is most commonly found in the drug supply in the northeastern and southern United States. However, the Drug Enforcement Administration reports that between 2020 and 2021, overdose deaths where xylazine was detected increased by as much as 1,127% in the South and West.
Since many opioids are often combined with xylazine, experts often suggest using Narcan to reverse the effects of the opioid. However, Narcan does not address the effects of tranq. Therefore, it is always recommended to call 911 in the case of an overdose. Overdose deaths from fentanyl have become a public health crisis in the U.S. The new trend of mixing xylazine with fentanyl has made this crisis even worse. The White House issued a statement calling xylazine mixed with fentanyl an emerging threat, and is taking steps toward prevention, treatment, and supply reduction. So why should teens be concerned about xylazine?
Xylazine is showing up in combination with fentanyl more and more, increasing the risks of fatalities. Fentanyl is the leading cause of teen overdose deaths. Contamination with xylazine highlights a need for teens to be even more cautious about substances.
Also, counterfeit pills can be contaminated with xylazine. Taking pills or other drugs that were not prescribed for you by a healthcare provider puts you at risk for consuming xylazine.
Xylazine can cause complicated medical problems, including possible skin wounds, even when an overdose has not occurred.
Youth may be exposed to xylazine through accidental or intentional consumption of illicit substances. It is important to note that xylazine is often consumed unintentionally and cannot be detected by looking at, smelling, or touching a substance.
We're continuing to research as this trend changes. Please be sure to follow us on social media as we post updates there on what we find. We're on Facebook at Pickens County Youth Board, and our TikTok and Instagram is at PCYB.
We'll be back with another new episode next week where we discuss teen experimentation and gateway drugs with a clinical counselor. You don't want to miss it.